Hello everyone. Good morning, all of you. Welcome to session number 1, Introduction to Microsoft Azure. We'll start with cloud technology and what is cloud and what is Microsoft Azure and how we manage Microsoft Azure via multiple platforms with a portal, with a PowerShell. So that's all about with the introduction to this module. So, introduction to the cloud computing. So, cloud computing or the cloud has become a leading trend in IT, and most of the companies, they are moving their infrastructure into the cloud. It can be Microsoft Azure Infrastructure, or it can be Amazon Web Services or Google Cloud. So there are a couple of vendors who are providing this cloud computing or cloud services. So what exactly a cloud, or what are the importance of cloud? So most cloud solutions are built on virtualization technologies. Backend can be a Hyper-V or VMware. So which abstracts physical hardware as a layer of virtualized resource for processing, memory, storage, and networking. Means whenever in old days we are using on-prem infrastructure, we build our data center, network, storage. So here in cloud, all this compute services is into cloud. So regardless of specific technologies, what organizations are using as a backend, so there's a definition given by National Institute of Science and Technology, NIST. So which talk about that any cloud services which you are using as a backend, either VMware, Hyper-V, any kind of virtualized platform, they have some characteristics. So it's first is on-demand self-service. So cloud services are generally on demand. Whenever you need a resource, you provision that resource, and based on your usage, you have to pay. If you don't want that service, just simply shut down the service. Broad network access. Cloud services are generally accessed over a network, over a internet. It can be public, or it can be it can be public only, so you can access anywhere from the world. Resource pooling is a concept of shared consumers. So once you build a cloud, or any vendor built a cloud, many of the consumers or companies are using that cloud as a services, as a tenant. We'll talk about all this in details. Next is rapid elasticity. So cloud services, you can scale up dynamically. You create a virtual machine with, say, minimum RAM of 768 MB, you can increase to 100 gigabyte as well. So any point of time you can increase. You don't need to increase your server infrastructure, server capacity. Everything is maintained by cloud infrastructure provider. And major services, it's called metering. So whenever you subscribe something, you can pay for that, and whenever you are not using, it's a pay and use model, per minute billing. So that's called the major services. So types of cloud services. Globally, in IT world, we divide cloud services into 3 formats. One is SaaS, PaaS, and IaaS, infrastructure as a service. So software as a service. SaaS offerings consist of fully formed software applications that are delivered as a cloud-based services. User can subscribe these services and use this application normally via a web browser or by installing a client-side app. Example, Microsoft SaaS is Microsoft Office 365, Microsoft Dynamics CRM Online. So software as a services. You don't need to install Exchange nowadays. You don't need to install Microsoft CRM nowadays. You will get as a cloud software as a service, and you can use this software and you can install them, maintain them, and they give you a PowerShell logins, portal logins to maintain that portals as a software as a service. So Microsoft Dynamics CRM and Microsoft Office 365 are the great example of software as a service. Platform as a service. So platform as a service offering consists of cloud-based services that provide resource on which developer can build their own solutions. So typically you are using .NET, Java, and some kind of platform to build some kind of applications, customized application for the customers. So now these kind of application platforms are provided by the cloud provider, which comes under platform as a services. So typically platform as a service encapsulates fundamental operating system OS capabilities, including storage and compute. In addition to functional services, they are giving some on top custom services which provide your application programming interfaces, and so that you can build your custom application on top of that, and then you can use those applications integrate with Azure or some other platform. So that's called as platform as a service. Now third and very important part, which we are going to talk about here mostly, that is called infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure as a service, old days you built your server, you built your storage, networking and everything. So all this infrastructure as a data center is provided by a cloud provider, and that thing comes under infrastructure as a service. So infrastructure as a service offering provide virtualized server and network infrastructure components that we can be easily used to provision and decommission a servers or infrastructure as required. So typically infrastructure as a service facilitates everything what we have in on-premise. If you say from on-premises we have networking, storage, processor, compute power, and networking, everything is given by infrastructure as a service. And last not least, you can easily migrate your easy path, you can migrate your on-prem services to a cloud. So a key point here is infrastructure service is might be a single IT resource. You are using a single virtual machine, or it can be a bunch of machine. So it can be a small memory compute resource, it can be a giant machine. So whatever you required as on demand, you can build your infrastructure and just pay based on your usage. So in short, whatever we have in on-prem, you can build the entire infrastructure into the cloud, which comes under infrastructure as a service. So what are the benefits if we have, if we run any application into the cloud? So whenever we think, okay, let's move our application into the cloud, but still there is a question comes, what exactly the benefit? So I'll take a very typical example. In on-prem environment, if you have one giant server and you are using one application, you pay that much cost, to build that big server and then use a small application. So you can't reduce the capacity of a server like immediately, and you can't increase your server capability in case you require more compute power. So it means enhancement, scalability is not there in on-prem. If you have one server, that's it, whatever the capacity, up to that only you can increase, you can use. But in cloud, you can build your machine, you can move your application can be running into the VM, and VM can scale up at any point of time. So application or services are extremely available, means it comes off availability point of view. So any cloud vendor gives you an option that one copy or two copy replication is available to a multiple data center of a cloud, and in case one is down, you can access through another one as a replica. And application can access availability, I'm talking about, so 24 by 7, 365 days availability. Dynamic scalability means you can access through, you can scale up the application, you can access your application from anywhere. And an application or services can be synced with multiple devices as well. Take example, if you have application copy somewhere on, say example, Office 65. If you have an Outlook on-prem, same Outlook you can access through a mobile, and both is synced through Office 365 subscription. So that's overall the importance of application running in the cloud. Okay, so let's talk about the second part of this overview of Microsoft Azure. So as I said, there are multiple vendors who provide infrastructure as a service or cloud services, and it includes your Amazon Web Services cloud or Google Cloud. In Microsoft we call it as Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure is a cloud offering from Microsoft that enables individual and organization to create, deploy and operate cloud-based application and infrastructure services. So this module is an overview about Microsoft Azure, and it talk about data center infrastructure that support that facilities or functionalities given by Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure is a collection of services that you can use to build and operate cloud-based application and IT infrastructure. Azure services are hosted in a global network of data centers that Microsoft manage 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and 365 days in a year, and offers 99.95% availability SLA agreement for all their compute services. So Azure Services enables you to create and operate cloud-based application by using a wide range of commonly used tools and framework. For application point of view, they give you a platforms. To run that platform, they give you a virtual machine as a compute services. Host workloads in the cloud on Azure platform as a services, and infrastructure as a services that consist of virtual machine and virtual networks. So your virtual machines and virtual networks, which they divide into network services. And to run the virtual machine, we use the storage capabilities. To backup our database, they give a backup options. So all these functionalities, they are providing, and they divide into multiple brackets, which includes compute, data services, network services. So some of the services within Azure can categorize, as infrastructure. Some of them are platform. Take example, if you are using Azure virtual machine, which is logically a compute services, which is a VM, and that VM can host an application or database. So if you talk about as a VM comes under your compute services. Inside the VM, if you create an application and that application required a database, that comes under data services as a SQL database. So based on what kind of application you are using, that application comes under that services. But all the services combined together, it's your Microsoft Azure. So Microsoft Azure services are hosted in Microsoft managed data center throughout the world. The data centers are located in multiple geographical areas with a pair of regions data center in each graphical region. For example, East US and West US, or East US 1 and East US 2. So in that geographical area, there are multiple data centers. So the data centers are based on a range of architecture that spans several generations and is continually evolving. It increasing the capacity day by day. The latest generation of data center is based on a fully modular design that includes your cluster of servers are packed into a units and shipped into a cluster mode, and inside that cluster thousands of servers are running, and which can swap rapidly, based on the demand. So data center includes uninterruptible power supplies UPS and alternate power supplies APS for all components, including compute, storage, and everything. In addition to the backup power, so Microsoft gave a one disaster capability also. In case if everything shut down in terms of data center services, they have a one replica into another data center. So that service is also provided by Microsoft. So cluster within data center are connected by a redundant high-speed network, and that support internal data transfer speed of 30,000 gigabytes per second and above. These numbers are given by Microsoft figures. Data center are connected to one another, with very high-end connectivity optical networks. So means two data centers. So data within a single data center can replicate to the 3 redundant storage, depend upon the storage capability. We'll discuss in the storage or in the disk capabilities. So when you create a storage, they ask you a question, in module number 3 or 4 we'll talk about this. So you want one single copy, multiple copy, or triple copy, and including geo replication. But by default, data within a single data center can be replicated to a 3 redundant storage, and can also be replicated between pairs of data center in the same geographical region. If you want additional capability, it can replicate to geo replication also. So physical and network security of Azure data centers meets a range of industry and government standard. So the data center are designed to minimize power and water usage for maximum efficiency, including servers and other hardware, cooling and support operations. So all the servers in each data center are provisions in cluster, and each cluster includes multiple racks and racks of Windows Server 2012 and 2012 R2, a distributed service application named the Azure Fabric Controller manage and provisioning the dynamic scaling and hardware fault management for virtual servers that host cloud services on the physical server in the cluster. So all these things is totally managed by, so millions of servers into a cluster mode, and cluster running into the multiple host, and multiple hosts already have a replica into multiple data center location. So Microsoft is have data center in multiple location in terms of Azure. So and they are continuously increase these numbers day by day. So initially they start with Central US, East US, Virginia, North Central US, South Central US, Texas, California, North Europe, West Europe, Ireland, Netherlands, East Asia, Hong Kong, Southeast Asia, Singapore, Japan East, Japan West, Brazil, Sao Paulo, in state Brazil, Australia East, New South Wales, Australia South East, Victoria. So these are the multiple locations, as of now Microsoft data center, Azure data centers are located. So whenever we create a new Azure services, we have to select a Azure region. You belongs to which data center, or your compute services belongs to which location. So whenever you select a Azure region, you should consider where user of these services are located. Based on that, we'll decide the traffic manager and Azure content delivery network. So some of the other components are involved based on the location. So what Microsoft recommend, wherever the user belongs, you should select that location so that your users belongs to or your user accessing the location near to that data center. But on top, you can access from anywhere from the world. So Azure Services in introduction, I explained about the couple of capabilities which comes under Azure. So first of all is compute and networking services. So you can create Azure virtual machine. It can be a Windows and Linux based machine. And you can create through a Microsoft template, or you can create your own template or own custom image. We'll talk about all this in upcoming modules. Azure Remote App, in terms of compute and networking services, the another functionality is Azure Remote App. You can provision Windows application on Azure and run them from any devices, which comes as Azure Remote App. Azure Cloud Services define multi-tier platform as a services, cloud services that you can deploy and manage Windows Azure. So whenever you provision a virtual machine, it comes under a cloud services. Azure Network, provision networks to connect your virtual machines. Traffic Manager, to implement load balancing for high scalability and availability for web application. Traffic Manager. Azure Websites, mobile services, API management, SQL. So all this comes under your compute and networking services. For web and mobile, your Azure Websites, mobile services, API comes under web and mobile services. Data analytics services, your SQL, Azure Search, Azure Machine Learning, all these things comes under analytical skills. Storage and backup services, give you option Azure Storage, Azure Import Export Service, Azure Backup, Azure Site Recovery. For media and content, they give you two options, Azure Media Services, Azure CDN, so that you can distribute content to a user throughout the world, CDN. We'll talk about all this, in upcoming modules. Hybrid integration, Azure BizTalk Services, Azure Services Bus, which connect your application across on-prem and on-cloud, Azure Services Bus. And finally, identity and access management, they give you a single sign-on option, which you can integrate with Azure Active Directory as a feature, and second, Azure multi-factor authentication, which technically a part of Active Directory premium features. So now there's a concept called grouping and co-locating the services. So when you provision Azure services, you can create a group related to a resource, so that you can improve manageability and ensure that all the related services are co-located in the same data center. So take a scenario. So where you have a one virtual machine or cloud services running on East US data center. So might be it's possible it's in rack number 1, and there are thousands of rack in the East US data center. So after some days you provision a web server. So but you select the same region. So there is a possibility that same web server, it can be a part of last rack into the same data center. So by using a resource group, what Microsoft give a functionality, so group, so logically, if multiple services are into a same group, and that group is linked with a region, so all the resources, they try to keep it as near as possible. I am saying rack number 1 or rack number 2, but it should not be in rack number, say 30,000. So that's what Microsoft recommend, that when you create a compute services, you should be creating a resource group. So resource group can work with multiple factors. It can be a region wise, so regions, or it can be you can create a multiple custom group called affinity groups. So let's talk about all this. So grouping services by using resource group first. So you can use resource group to combine related services into a logical unit of management, monitoring, and billing. So this enables you to provision, view, manage, and delete related resources as a single unit. For example, resource group. So at what scenario you have to use resource group? So for example, a cloud application might consist of a database in SQL and a website. So by combining these two and give a name as a resource, so that makes more perfection, so that the website is running and connected with the database. So in that case, both the resources comes under a resource group. So take example in upcoming module when we talk about when website hosting. So you can't create a website hosting unless you have a resource group. So that's why the web server as well as the database comes under a same grouping or same logical unit. Now second thing is co-locating with the region wise. So although region wise, so resource groups provide a logical grouping of services. So by default, whenever you select a region, so whenever you create whenever you create any provision of any resource, so you have to select at least one region. So by default, this region concept is always applicable. So take example, if you create a cloud services, you create a cloud name, virtual machine name, and so on, you have to select one of the region. After that, any services comes into that cloud automatically part of that region. So region wise is by default applicable, available. But resource group you have to create whenever you are creating a web server and linked with a database. So that's the difference between resource group and region. Region is by default and resource group is for web servers. Now what is affinity groups? So affinity group is, suppose you want to create 100 virtual machines into the same cloud services. It's possible that one of the virtual machine is rack number 1 and another virtual machine is in rack number 100. So even Microsoft provides a high speed capabilities to manage all these resources, but still, on top, if you give a affinity group, so logically all the compute services virtual machine is put into a same rack or near to rack 1. So how we define this affinity group? So in most cases, co-locating services by specifying a region provides sufficient optimization of inter-service communication. But in some cases where you have millions of racks available in the data center, so it's possible there slight be some latency between two networks. So that's why the overall logical meaning is resource group is for your web server and the database. Region is by default whenever you select any services. Region is by default enabled, and affinity group is for the servers for the VMs, so that all resources should be very close to a region. It should be very close to the rack itself, so that there is no latency in terms of accessing those VMs. So that's what Microsoft recommends. It should be a affinity group. So let's talk about Azure Portals and how we are going to access the portal and with quick demo as well. So first of all, there are 3 portals given by Microsoft. One is full management portal, manage.windowsazure.com, and there's a new preview portal available. One is called portal.azure.com. So there are 2 portals, which is full Azure management portal. One is full preview portal, portal.azure.com. So the difference between these 2 portals is the full Azure management portal is the primary user interface, the first portal which is used to manage the overall infrastructure. It like you're provisioning the services, manage the services, you can add as co-admins and basic stuff. So but you can't get the billing information into the manage.portal windowsazure.com. So in new Azure preview portal, which we called as portal.azure.com, is a full Azure management portal. So don't think of confusion, it's a preview. Preview is nothing, we called as full management portal. So it includes your couple of important pages, home, notification, browse, billing, and new. And so you can check your billing things and billing cycle and how much you have to pay or previous billing history. All this information you can get under your billing part. Home is for the hub menu and start board. Notification, if any services gets down, they give you a notification on a notification tab. And new means you compute new services. So manage Azure subscription. So there is an account.windowsazure.com/subscription. From here you can view and edit your subscription. You can check the billing, very specific URL, Microsoft given only for billing. So you can also edit your profile, you can open your subscription management, and you can manage your subscription related details. And finally, the PowerShell. So for PowerShell, you have to download the Azure PowerShell. So you have to type a URL http://azure.microsoft.com/downloads and then select Azure PowerShell. And once we install the Azure PowerShell, then you have to manage your subscription. So you have to connect your subscription under Azure PowerShell. So there's a command to add a subscription file into your PowerShell. So first you have to do a get command, Azure publishing file. They ask you a username and password. So once it's authenticated, and then finally you have to import. And once you import, you will get the information about your current subscription. So let's do quick demo for Portal as well as Azure PowerShell. So I am into my portal. So first of all, I'll do a sign out. Go to the Google Azure portal. So we have couple of portals: manage.windowsazure.com, portal.azure.com. We already discussed preview portal is full. You will get the all billing information. So I'm logged in with my account. And password. So this is the first method, I search with Azure portal, so directly portal.azure, and second is manage.windowsazure.com. So portal.azure is you will get subscription and you can create a new compute, that's a full portal. And manage.windowsazure.com is a traditional portal. So that's where you have to create, all items. It's complete empty as of now, and we have to create a new virtual machine and so on. So that's a traditional method. And third method is Azure PowerShell. So I'll press my window key and Azure PowerShell, which I already installed, run as admin. Clear screen. Now first command is get Azure S subscription. So get Azure subscription. So I already already have one subscription connected. So logically what we have to do, I am connected with second time, get Azure subscription, new subscription, you can say subscription or the new Azure publishing. So publishing file, so get Azure publishing publish setting file. So they ask you a username and password. So I logged in. So as soon as you logged in, automatically they publish this file, and then you have to import this file. So let's do once again, get Azure publishing file and try to log in. So automatically you will get this download file. I'll click show in folder. I'll cut this file, paste it into C drive. So this is my subscription file. So we got this subscription file. Now import Azure publishing setting file and the path. C path and enter. So Visual Studio Enterprise with MSDN, this is my subscription. So if I say get Azure subscription now, so I have two subscription, one is my Vikas MCSC something, and second one is Visual Studio Enterprise with MSDN. And what is the subscription ID which we added? Last two digits are AD. So then we have to run all the commands, to manage the subscription. So get Azure account and so on. So this is all, overall introduction, how to manage with Portal Dot, how to manage with Manage.Windows Azure, and third one is how to connect your subscription via PowerShell. So thank you very much everyone for watching session number 1. So see you on session number 2. Thank you everyone.